Hi there, and welcome to Cretan Classics. I am Davy Cretan. We are here today to tell you our top 12 tunes from Marillion. If there's time at the end, we'll have some honorable mentions. Please welcome back to my channel for the umpteenth time my guest, my friend from upstate New York, Joey Suto from the Rock Show Critique channel.
Thank you for having me again. This has been a little while. It's good to be on and can't wait to dig into this one for sure.
Exactly. This has been a favorite band of mine since the mid 80s, but more on that later. So we have our top 12 tunes for each of us. We'll get a ping pong back and forth, three at a time. Marillion, the British progressive rock band that started in the early 80s and is still going today. Joseph, why don't you start us out with your number 12, 11, and 10, please?
All right. Any guesses on how many songs you think we'll cross over on?
Ooh, wow. Let me take a quick look at my list.
All
5 out of 15 total. 4 or 5. I'm guessing 4 or 5.
right, let's see what happens. Good guess. Let's see. Okay, so number 12. I'm gonna dig into Season's End album, and I'm gonna pull out The Uninvited Guest.
Nice.
Probably the first song I heard from that album, because my brother actually, he was a huge Marillion fan way before I was. I basically got into him because of the fact that we shared a bedroom together and he was always playing them. So you had no choice. But that song definitely stuck in my mind. What a great song. Um, and it's interesting how that song came to be. I found out that it was a fax that was sent from John Helmer, who wrote a lot of the lyrics for Marillion over their career, and that's all it started off with. Was a simple lyric. They took it, and that's what they came up with, and it peaked at number 53 in the UK, so not too shabby.
And a very creepy video.
Yes. All right, so that's number 12. We're gonna go with number 11. I'm gonna dig into Afraid of Sunlight album, and I'm bringing out Beautiful.
Nice.
Song that peaked at number 29. A little different flavor from them. Um, it's basically about seeing things in the light of that everyone is beautiful in their own way. That's basically what it entails, the song. And yeah, I just simply love everything about this song. Definitely a true highlight on that album for sure. I mean, that was the first song I really liked on that album. But I wonder if more will be represented. We'll find out. All right, so that is my number 11. Number 10, I don't know if this will shock you or not, either maybe that it's this high or what. I'm going into marbles and I'm going into Neverland. I just always enjoyed this song. What a true great song. It starts off with pretty much goes the keyboard kind of sets the tone as the song gets going. There's a few sound effects before that, but once the keyboard gets going, it just starts off 12 minutes and 10 seconds of pure joy, not one dull moment I noted on here. It thing I like about it is I think the band really plays as a unit. Although if you listen to the song, you can hear each individual member stand out really well. But seeing this song performed live, wow. I don't know if you ever had the chance, but man, what a great song to see live. I was really disappointed. The last tour they came actually to Buffalo for the first time in like 20 some years, and they never played it. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked, but I didn't leave it off my list. So I got it at number 10.
Okay. Excellent picks there. All great songs. In fact, this band have too many great songs. Let me just look at my initial list. I had 34 songs on my conservative original list, and then I had to chop it down to 12 with some honorable mentions. So it was hard, and I left off some sterling songs, some great songs. But I'm going to start off with my number 12, an album you mentioned, but a different song here. I am going to the year 1995, a song written by the band plus help from lyricist John Helmer, the Afraid of Sunlight album. I'm going track 6 from their 8th studio album. The title track, Afraid of Sunlight, is my first choice. I wrote down that it's a haunting and beautiful song that begins as a ballad before blossoming into a powerful rock song with a supremely uplifting chorus. The star of the show here, Steve Hogarth's voice, showing off his impressive range and his emotive prowess and power. Melodic middle eighth section brings us Mark Kelly's subtle keyboard solo, and to me, it's a little reminiscent of the title track of Season's End. I love that the almost duel between Hogarth's vocals and Steve Rothery's guitar solo. It seems like Rothery's guitar solo is slightly under Hogarth's vocals. It's a high point of the song for me. And I also like the ending because the last 50 seconds, it echoes the mellow, haunting intro with just Hogarth's voice, Kelly's keyboards, and Rothery on guitar. So my number 12, the title track, Afraid of Sunlight. My number 11, an album we haven't touched yet, track 4 from their ninth studio album from 1997, This Strange Engine. And I'm going with the band written song by the Five Principles. Estonia is my number 11. H wrote this powerful song after meeting a gentleman by the name of Paul Barney, the only British survivor of the sinking of the cruise ferry Estonia in the Baltic Sea, September 28th, 1994. Unfortunately, 852 people lost their lives in this senseless tragedy. It's the only Marillion song to feature a Russian instrument called, and I hope I pronounce this correctly, the balalaika, something very close to that. And it's a plucked stringed instrument that looks like an unusual guitar, played here by Tim Perkins on this song. I wrote down it's another mini melodic masterpiece that focuses on Hogarth's voice and dramatic performance to match the heavy subject matter of the song. Once again, you get that uplifting anthemic chorus that just sends me every time. I love the chorus to Estonia. And you get Kelly and maybe even Hogarth's shimmering keyboards. They add tension and emotion to this song. It's another stellar middle eight section. So my number 11, Estonia, going on to an album not touched yet. 6.5 minute song, track number 10 from the band's seventh studio album, Brave, from 1994. And the song hit number 38 in the Netherlands, which has always been a Marillion stronghold. I'm talking about the first track, the first single from the album, The Great Escape, written by the
Mm.
five band members with lyrical contributions from John Helmer. A song so sweeping and epic that it really tugs at the heartstrings. It's about the apparent suicide of the protagonist in the song on the whole album, or is it? You have to listen to the track after this to find out what happens. And I must mention the effortless and effective drumming of Ian Mosley here on this song and what he adds to every Marillion song that he plays on, which is like 95% of their whole catalog. Once again, H's voice runs the gamut of emotions from the tranquil to the snarling. And Mosley's China Roll brings in part two, the Falling from the Moon section. First section is called The Last of You, which is like 2/3 of the 6.5 minute song. Falling from the Moon is the last third. Uh, and I also wrote down Mosley's China work brings in part two, the Falling from the Moon section, with emotional vocals from Steve Hogarth and some sterling six string work from Rothery here. Once again, the song winds down with the sounds of the water lapping against the shoreline. An emotional album ender, or is it? Listen to the last few tracks on Brave to find out. Great concept record. So my 10, The Great Escape, my 11, Estonia, and 12, Afraid of Sunlight. Over to you, Joseph.
Right. Well, so far nothing's matching, so let's move on. All right, number 9. I'm taking the standout track from Afraid of Sunlight, a song that rarely misses a set list, and we are talking about King. I had a really hard time choosing between that and Afraid of Sunlight in that particular spot. Trying to, like, I asked my brother, who's a huge Marillion fan, and even he said that's a tough call picking the best song between the two of those because they're both on the same album and they're both pretty much, similar in length and stuff. But King, is the one for me. You just got to listen to it. I'll tell you, on record, it's good. Seeing it live is great. And that's a bit basically all I can tell you is if you ever get a chance to see them do it live or check a video on YouTube, whatever, you'd be amazed at how great that song really is. All right, so number 8. I'm gonna do something neither one of us have done yet. I'm not gonna pick a song from an album. I'm picking a B-side. All right, so this one comes it was the B-side of the Lavender single, which was from the Fish era, and we're talking about Freaks. So I don't know if you expected to hear me say that song today or not, but that's what I've got here. Uh, it was played a lot on the first tour with H because obviously they only had the one song out, so they were able to play a lot more of the Fish songs and things in concert on that tour. But they've only played it like maybe a dozen times since, oddly enough. And it's really an anthem among Marillion fans because they consider themselves freaks. That's basically, even though the band didn't actually write it like that, that's what the diehard fans of Marillion call themselves freaks, and they consider themselves freaks because they just love this band, I guess. I don't know. Was a great live song describing basically the fanatical devotion of the fan base to the band. So yeah, I love it live. It's first time I ever saw it was on the Season's End tour with Hogarth in an outdoor setting, and man, they really destroyed it. Actually, to tell you the truth, I haven't seen them do it live since then. So,
I
but
saw them do
sadly,
it on that tour too.
yeah, that was just great. So that was my number 8. Number 7, gonna pull a duplicate here. I'm pulling another B-side for my number 7 song. So this one, I highly doubt you knew this was going to be coming. But I'm pulling out a B-side here that's about souvenirs and photographs. And we're talking about a collection, which, if you really dig into what happened behind the song, how it came to be, it's kind of a creepy song, people would describe it as nowadays, because John Helmer, the lyricist, had a friend who would lure all his current girlfriends to this one spot and take pictures of them all. So he would always put them in an album and kind of look at them and things and so it was really a weird thing. That's how the lyrics came about to be, about that situation, how the collection in front of his favorite view, I don't know if it was a pond or whatever the case may be, but that's how the lyric came about and how the song came about and very unique. But the thing that I like about the song is the guitar playing on it. It's just a great acoustic piece, and I think everybody plays their part well on it. And it's one of those. I mean, I've seen it live, I think twice now, and it's really rare. The only time they ever do it live is usually at the conventions, and I got to see it on two different conventions, and it just sounded amazing. So that's what I got for my number 7, a collection.
Cool.
So that's 7 a collection, 8 freaks, 9 king, and we're gonna turn it back over to you.
And I have to turn my page to go to number 9, right? Yes.
Yes.
Number 9.
Um,
Written by the band, A Hair Under 6 Minutes, from their fifth studio album from 1989, Season's End, track number 2. I'm going with Easter at number 9. And this may be higher on a lot of people's lists. This hit number 34 on the UK singles chart was released March 19th of 1990, 6 months after the 1989 album release. It was the third single, one of Stephen Rothery's greatest guitar solos ever, from about the 2.5 minute mark to the 4 minute mark. So you get 90 seconds in the full album version, punctuated masterfully by Pete Travis's subtle bass work and Mosley's massive percussion, and they fit perfectly, and he accentuates it with great cymbal splashes throughout. A new melody takes over for the final 2 minutes, with excellent overdub vocals from Hogarth and more Rothery lead for the last 40 seconds or so. One of the greatest Marillion songs, especially of the Hogarth era. My number 9 is Easter. Moving on to number 8, one of the longest songs on my list, written by the 5 members of the band. Track 8 and the title track of their ninth studio album from 1997, This Strange Engine, is my number 8. An epic extended piece that goes through many different sections. Awesome keyboards from Kelly, especially from 449 to 612. He starts out with this old school Mark Kelly sharp sounding synth solo. It switches to a more mellow patch, more mellow texture before returning to that old school sound. And then it comes to a dead stop at the 612 mark. And I love that keyboard solo. I'm taking points off, and I lowered this on my list because there is this 30-second sax solo on this song. And I'm not a huge sax fan, with the exception of maybe Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Billy Joel, Pink Floyd, and maybe King Crimson are the only prog bands who could use sax. Hate when Marillion does it because they always pipe it in and it's pre-recorded live. They don't bring an extra player with them, but they can't afford to. But whatever. But after that sax solo, the song is redeemed by a 30-second Steve Rothery guitar solo that's really good, nice and tasty. And then Rothery even betters his own solo from 11:22 to the 12:41 mark. And he's playing with some kind of object that he puts like over his guitar. Sort of looks like a smaller, wider version of a cell phone. And it just makes this weird, like EBO sound effect. And I love that solo in this song. The song builds and builds to its frenzied, hard rocking, chaotic closing, with H screaming his truth out in the lyrics. And of course, the song, This Strange Engine, is a tribute to Steve Hogarth's father. He was a Marine officer and engineer, but he left that life behind to work in the coal mine of all places so he could be closer to his family. And seeing this song live, phenomenal song live, This Strange Engine. That is my number 8. My number 7, I'm going to move for the first time into the Fish era from the early 80s. I'm going with, actually, this one is from the later 80s. Track number 9 from their fourth studio album from 1987, Clutching at Straws. I'm going with Sugar Mice, my number 7. The second single from the album, released July 13th, 1987, hit number 22 in the UK, 59 in Germany, 17 in Ireland, and 45 once again in the Netherlands. The song has a slow build that leads to an explosive Steve Rothery guitar solo from the 213 to the 329 mark, and it continues under Fish's vocals during the middle 8 section. The last verse of Fish's lyrics here, they're both touching and heartbreaking, speaking about the character Torch at the end of the bar, talking on with his ex on the phone, and the kids being there. The lyrics are amazing. Another scorching emotional journey on the song. Number 7, Sugar Mice. 8, This Strange Engine. 9, Easter. Over to you, Mr. Suto.
All right. So that's going to take us down to number 6. And this song, I've always had a special spot for this one. I've always loved it. I've seen it live quite a few times. Not recently, but over early to mid 90s, I've seen it a couple times, and I really enjoyed it. Talking about From Holidays in Eden, we're talking about Waiting to Happen. It's a slower paced song, but it kind of has like a building song. And I think to me it's the gem of Holidays in Eden, the underrated song, the most underrated. H even described the song as about magic. You know, he said he could talk about that song all day, but he kept it short in the interview that I was reading and said he'll just describe it as magic, and it's simply a great song. So I've got Waiting to Happen at number six. If you don't know it, I'd say definitely give it a listen. Yeah, I think you'll learn to love it. It's just a great song. And number five. Now this one was a little tough because I'm gonna do this because I've got five and four are kind of like the same song in a way. It's just like an extension, the one song onto the other, but we had to break them up because they're listed as two separate songs on the album. Originally, I would have put them all together, but only because these two songs have never really been played apart live. They play the one, the other one always follows right after it. I'm talking about number five will be Warm Wet Circles. Number four, That Time of the Night.
I knew it.
The band never
Love
really
that.
ever played it without one or the other. Now they did do that with a couple other songs, but this one they never really played them apart. And great song. I just love this song. Whether it's the Warm Wet Circles part or That Time of the Night part, I love the middle, how it all comes together and merges into each other. I had to pick That Time of the Night as the higher number four, because I just like that song just a little bit better than the Warm Wet Circles part of it. But they're both just great songs, and they just had to be neck and neck. There was no way to separate them, to tell you the truth. It's a shame that we had to go about doing it like that for this exercise, but that's what we did. So we kept it good there for us there. So that pretty much takes us right back to you for your next six, five, and four.
Okay, from the Fish era, whatever you want to say. My New York accent came through again. Written by the five members of the band from 1985, their Misplaced Childhood album, the third record. I'm going with track number eight from their breakthrough album, 9.5 minutes long, Blind Curve from Misplaced Childhood. It's divided into five sections: Vocal Under a Bloodlight, Passing Strangers, Milo, which is probably my favorite section, Perimeter Walk, and Threshold. Those are the five sections of Blind Curve. It's probably, maybe, my favorite section of the Misplaced Childhood album. Derek W. Dick, aka Fish, his lyrics for the Milo section, simply spectacular, I wrote in my notes. Each band member shines here, especially Rothery's guitar work and Ian's slamming drums. And this section of Misplaced Childhood is a roller coaster ride of emotions during these five parts. My number six, Blind Curve. Moving on. My next one, number five, from 1983, LP number one, side one, cut one, the title track, Script for a Jester's Tear. Now, this is how you open your debut album. Begins as a stark piano ballad with vocals and keyboards until the band all kick in at the 124 mark. Fish's presence is immediately felt here with his confessional heart on the sleeve lyrics. And this album, to me, contains Steve Rothery's most aggressive guitar tone. A lot of times, after I discovered, well, more on that in a moment, discovering Marillion, and I went to get the back catalog, in the record stores back in the 80s, they were filed in the heavy metal section in a lot of record stores because of the artwork from Mark Wilkinson and Steve Rothery's heavy guitar tone on the first record. Speaking of Rothery, he has a few angular, aggressive solos on this very song, and just his tone is so right in your face. I love it. I like how the band drops out at the 4:10 mark as the song sort of mellows out and starts again with a slow build until it kicks back in. Minute and a half later at the 5:42 mark. And don't miss Pete Travis's bass work on this part of the song. Underrated bass player in the prog rock field. Love his bass work. And for all the sorrow on display here, just the end of the song, the last 3 minutes of it are uplifting, great. Title track, Script for Justice Tear, my number five. My number four, I am going to my first B side here.
Ooh.
And I was always upset and aggravated that this did not make the album. It's a B side of the Assassin single from 1984's Fugazi album, the full 5.5 minute version of Cinderella Search. Love this song. Should have been on the album. I don't know why it wasn't. Kinetic keyboards throughout from Mark Kelly, sizzling guitar solos from Rothery, plus new boy Ian Mosley makes his presence known with his powerful fills throughout the song. I love Fish's passionate vocals, especially the last part of the song. And it must be the full version, the full 5.5 minutes, not the 421 edit. And whoever put the short version on the B sides themselves, CD and album, should be pummeled. Why did they put the short version on CD? Ugh, so annoying. So my four is Cinderella Search, five Script for Jester's Tear, and six Blind Curve from Misplaced Childhood. Over to you for your top three, Joseph.
All right. Wow. Yeah. What some good picks there. Wow.
Thank you.
All right. So number three, I think we're getting close. We're getting close to season's end. The title track, lyrics by John Helmer. Kind of like how he talks about how the winters, how cold they used to be in London and England, and it's kind of like the talk of the landing, the area where global warming kind of kicks in. So it's weird how you've actually seen people start writing stuff as early as '89 about things like that. But I've always loved this song. It does feel like I don't know, the way the song flows and everything. It definitely feels like to me like the way it's like changing of the seasons, season ending, another season beginning. Just a great song, and obviously it was the debut album with H on it, and just this was a great song. They actually did this live the last time I seen them, and it was great because I did something I normally don't always do, but since it was Marillion, and I first time we seen them in Buffalo in like 20 some years, I didn't look at any set list before the show. I wanted to be surprised. So when I heard the chords to Season's End, man, I just went crazy. I couldn't believe it. It was great. And that's why it was so special seeing it at the last time I got the chance to see him finally. I was like it was 2018 the last time they came over here and did a proper tour. So three seasons on, number two. We're gonna dig into the Fish era here. We're gonna go back to my all-time favorite Marillion album. And we are talking Clutching at Straws. And we are going to dig into a song the band still plays live. It's one of the very few Fish tracks that still sees the light of day in a Marillion set list from time to time. Kicks off with a lovely piano solo there by Mr. Mark Kelly. And then the song just kicks right into gear almost immediately. And we are talking none other than Slaint Mahath. Just a great song. It's one of those ones when you're live seeing them, man, you cannot help but to pump your fist in the air and just you just feel the energy in the room. It's one of those uplifting songs that just lifts you right from the beginning, man. I tell you, I've seen this song quite a few times live. Thankfully, I had the honor. And every time I hear it live, it just gets better and better. Just being in person, feeling, like the room, because they don't play like big concert halls. They always play like theaters or smaller rooms. So you really feel the energy, and I really love it. And that's why I've got that one at number two. Just a phenomenal song. And number one, we got our first repeat.
Easter?
Nope. I'll give it a lyric. So if you want my address, it's number one at the end of the bar,
Sugar
where I
mice.
sit with the broken angels clutching at straws, which mentions the title of the album, and nursing our scars, blame it on me, blame it on me. What lyrics? This song is definitely such a great song. It's got so much emotion running through it. in so many different things. They talk about the rain in Milwaukee and hearing Sinatra through the floorboards. Just this is probably no doubt to me Fish's greatest lyrics on this song. I just feel he hasn't made any lyrics any better than this song. And it's just his voice on this song is just simply amazing to me, at least for my picks here. So that's what I got. So one, Sugar Mice, two, Slaint Mahath, three, Seasons End.
Wow, our first match. Unless we match all three of our honorable
Yeah.
mentions, I'm gonna be way off this time. This is good. We mentioned more songs when we have very little crossover. Awesome. Excellent picks. Okay, I'm going to my number three. And once again, well, this was written by the original band with Mick Pointer on drums on
Oh.
this song. He gets a co-writing credit. I'm going to LP number one, side one, cut three from 1983, The Web, little under 9 minutes. And also on this song, original bass player Diz Minute and original keyboard player Brian Jellyman get some credit. So some love to them for this song. Mark Kelly's keyboards shine on this song. And Stephen Rothery turns in one of his angriest, most snarling solos in Marillion's catalog on the web. I love Fish's lyrics here, his vocal attack on this song. It's from a whisper to a scream, to quote the Icicle Works song. He whispers part of the verses, and then he gets so angry he screams the chorus. Mark Kelly's synth line from 624 to 702, and then his solo from 703 to 751. One of my favorite Mark Kelly solos in the Marillion catalog. You get an exquisite ending section where Fish intones the lyrics, thus ends the web, the web, the web, the web. Love it. The Web is my number three from the debut album Script for a Jester's Tear. My number two comes from the follow-up album, one of Joseph's favorite Marillion albums, Fugazi. And by the way, on Joseph's channel, Rock Show Critique, a while ago, at least over a year or two ago, we did an album ranking of all the Marillion albums up through the most recent one. So it is up to date as of today in what is this now? The last day of March
Yep.
of 2026. So on Rock Show Critique, look for our album ranking. But getting back to my number two, 8.5 minutes long, track number six from the second album, Fugazi, 1984, a deep cut if ever there was one. Incubus is my number two
Wow.
choice. How is that for a surprise? I wrote down a deep cut with some additional female backing vocals here from a lovely lady named Linda Pike, Pykelinda. So some love to Linda here. My favorite part of this song is the piano vocal section from 357 to 522. And then Rothery plays one of my favorite solos of his in the whole Marillion catalog from the 522 to the 637 mark, which continues under Fish's returning vocal part of the song. So whenever Rothery takes a solo that's over a minute long, that's where he really shines. That's where he is at his most glorious. The last 90 seconds has phenomenal percussion punctuation from new man at the time, Ian Mosley, as the song builds, sustains, and then climaxes. Incubus, my number two. And my number one song could only be a song that has not been performed until 2012 when Fish started doing it on his own. So it's from the Fish era. It wasn't performed after 1983 until Fish did it in 2012. I'm talking about their first epic, written by the band, including Fish, Mick Pointer, Diz Minute, and Brian Jellyman get credit again. The B-side to the 12-inch single of Market Square Heroes from 1982, Grendel, all
Mm.
17 minutes and 15 seconds of it. This is Prague, baby. This is Marillion at their finest to me. I know not to other people. I wrote down the band's masterful masterpiece has lyrics by Fish based on the monster's point of view. And you can tell that's the way the lyrics go when Fish sings the line from Grendel's point of view, why should I feel pity when you kill your own and feel no shame? Love that line, killer line. This is from based on John Gardner's 1971 novel, Grendel. The song is often compared to Supper's Ready from Genesis, one of their best songs. I did my favorite songs of Genesis on Cretan Classics, so check that out with my buddy from down under, from Australia, Bicycle Legs from the Bicycle Legs Talks Music YouTube channel. And comparing Grendel to Marillion's Grendel to Genesis' Supper's Ready, I did a show on Peter Kerr, another friend of mine from Australia. He has a channel called Rock Daydream Nation, and he had a show. We did a couple of episodes of it called, quote, "Excuse me, sir, that riff is taken," end quote. So he actually plays the songs and compares the sections that sound alike. But even though this sounds like Genesis, it's its own amazing Marillion song. You get intense instrumental interplay from the four musicians here, even Mick Pointer on drums. And I know a lot of fans poo poo Mick Pointer on the first Marillion album on the B-sides, but I think he's a really good drummer. Maybe he improved when he co founded Arena with Clive Nolan in the mid 90s, and he's been the drummer of that band for their whole career. So, Mick Pointer, to me, slightly underrated. I'm not saying he's John Bonham, I'm not saying he's Neil Peart, but he's a better drummer than I think some people give him credit for. Mark Kelly's church organ from 857 to 915 heralds that synth sound, that glorious synth sound that I love from the 923 mark all the way to 1150. And he does some variations in it. And that's what makes this song for me. Mark Kelly's keyboard playing, especially that 2.5 minute solo that he does. Also, you get some Petra Wavis pummeling bass for the last 4.5 minutes of this song. Fish's powerful, evocative, emotive vocals when he intones Let the Blood Flow. Awesome. Love it. Grendel, my number one Marillion song. Number two, Incubus. And number three, Thus Ends the Web. Those are my top three, all from the Fish era.
Wow. Didn't see most of those coming.
And
But I will
still,
say this, I was never a fan of Grendel, but was never a fan of Grendel. Recently I've really started to like that song. Really. And that's something I never really, never really gave it the time of day. Maybe I was not really into a lot of the longer songs of the earlier catalog. But I will say this, that's a great pick because it's really climbing up my list quick. Just like you, I probably had about 25 to 30 songs when I first initially just, when we started making our lists. And I had chopping off, even 10 to 15 songs. Ooh, what a chore that was.
it was tough.
Yeah, it really was. And Grendel was actually one of my choices, but it left a little bit early because as it's growing on me more and more, next time perhaps it'll make the top 12 or whatever. I'm guessing because the more I listen to it, the more I like it. And that's something, that's a good thing. That's why we do these. We do these to help people learn about songs maybe they're not familiar with or they don't know them, and even in my point, I'm a big Marillion fan. I know pretty much the entire catalog, but Grendel, I just never gave it a chance. And now here I am giving it a chance and I just love it. So
Excellent.
excellent.
You want to do some honorable mentions, sir?
I got a couple here we can put in here. Yeah, let me start off with should I start with 13 or 15?
15 to 13 is the way
Okay,
I do
you
it.
got it. So 15, I am going with a song from Misplaced Childhood. And I'm going with a song that recalls the innocence of childhood, which peaked at number 5 on the UK charts. We are talking about Lavender. So that's what I got for my number 15. Um, it's usually they used to always pair it up with Kaylee in concert, but over the last 10 to 15 years, they've pretty much just played Kaylee most of the time nowadays, it seems like. and they don't really do lavender unless they're doing, some kind of a special type show or, one of their conventions or something like that. All right, so that's what I got for 15. Number 14, I am going to go with the leadoff track from Holidays in Eden, and we are talking Splintering Heart.
Yes.
And that this song has opened quite a few shows for the band. It's got that pulsating beat that resonates well in the live setting. And man, when you're in live in concert, hearing that and feeling that pulsate, man, what what a feeling. It makes you feel so alive. And I think that song is a great song that really helps set the mood for the concert. So, and to me, it's probably one of my favorite opening tracks from Marillion, actually. Out of all, if I had to make a set list from Marillion, I'd probably open up with it pick it to open up a set list myself. So
Nice.
that's how much I enjoyed that one. And number 13, song you mentioned, title track, Afraid of Sunlight. Great
Sweet.
song. It's definitely a very emotive song, one that keeps the album flowing nicely, and it's a huge concert staple. Got to see them in Montreal on I think it was the first, yeah, the first tour, 2009, when they went with a convention there, and H did some crowd surfing in the middle of that song. It was just a phenomenal moment. It's on video and everything, and everybody still talks about it to this day. How, they just passed them around from front all the way to the back, man. It's just amazing. Great, great song. And like I said, that was tough between that and King. I mean, I really love them both, but it was really hard to pick one over the other. But, that's how I had to go about it for this. I didn't want them both neck and neck because there was just a lot of other songs I liked just as well. But you can't go wrong picking it, that's for sure. Wherever you pick it, as long as it makes the list, that's the good thing. So that's what I got. So 15 Lavender, 14 Splintering Heart, and 13 Afraid of Sunlight.
Sweet. Our second crossover so far. Will there be more? Let's find out. Just to let you know, well, I'll say it at the end.
All right.
I think, well, I'll say it now since it's on my mind. I think six of the songs you mentioned were on my larger list, but didn't make it out of the 34 I picked. So
Oh
we're
yeah.
thinking a little bit along the same lines, but you can't fit everything in a top 12 or a top 15. So many of these great bands have too many, pardon me, too many amazing songs.
hmm
Excuse me, I just need a drink.
hmm
Sorry about that. Okay. My number 15, I'm going to another B-side, the shortest song on my list. I love the keyboards, the guitars, the vocal from H on this song, and the chorus. It is a B-side. It was the B-side from Season's End. From the third single I mentioned, Easter was on my list. 3 minutes, 45 seconds long, a song called The Release. And I wish this had been on Season's End, but back in the days of vinyl, you only had a limited amount of space. Sadly, this was relegated to a B-side, but The Release, if you don't know it, check it out on YouTube, check it out on the streaming service of your choice. Great bonus track. I love The Release. So melodic. And this represents to me all of their short, more pop rock songs in their career, ever since basically H took over. But you could even go back and say a song like Punch and Judy is a short pop rock single from the Fish era. So The Release is my number 15. Number 14, this had to be on my list. A lot of chart action for this one. This was the first song I ever heard by Marillion on WNEW FM New York from New York City in 1985. And this was my first Marillion purchase. I'm talking from the Misplaced Childhood album, of course, Kaylee. And I bought the album in late 1985. And after that, that's when I started going to the record stores to find all their old albums, 7 inches, 12 inches, and then CD singles as they came out after that. So somewhere I have quite the collection of old school Marillion stuff. This hit number 2 in the UK, 76 in Canada, 4 in Ireland, 8 in Norway. 88 in Australia, number 7 in Germany, 12 once again in the Netherlands, a Marillion stronghold, number 19 in Switzerland, and here in America, number 74 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart, and number 14 on my beloved mainstream US rock chart in Billboard magazine. A great song, one of Rothery's great solos. And since this is the song that brought me into the world of Marillion, I could not leave it off my list. Moving on to my number 13, I'm going back to the Brave album. And I am picking a song that hit number 53 on the UK singles chart, Alone Again in the Lap of Luxury. I just think it's a very evocative, powerful song in the Brave saga. I mean, they're great. There's no bad songs on that album, really. But I love Alone Again in the Lap of Luxury, and seeing them play it live when Mark Kelly, who didn't even sing for the first five or so Marillion tours, all of a sudden in the chorus sings I Could Be Anywhere Right Now. Like he it's a sort of on the studio version Steve Hogarth sings all the lyrics, but live you get Mark Kelly doing like the call and response. I could be anywhere by now if I only had the nerve to leave this house. And seeing him do that live sends
Hmm.
shivers down my spine. I loved it. Alone Again in the Lap of Luxury, my 13, Kaylee number 14, and 15, the B-side, The Release. And this band, what, you got close to 20 albums, let's say 10 songs an album with B-sides, close to 200 songs, and we've barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, and I think that the thing about this band, like you had mentioned, their earlier part of their career, they just had so many like picture discs and singles, and it was just amazing how much stuff there is out there on Marillion. Amazing. It's just weird how things have progressed. It's like how it went from when the band started out to where they are now. They got a whole different well, music industry's changed and everything, and they kind of
Oh,
they
yeah.
kind of did a lot on their own. They did a lot of things that
They
nobody
started
else.
out crowdfunding even
Yep.
before Radiohead, just before Radiohead did it.
Yep, they were pioneers on it. And it's just great all the things, that this band has been able to do, and they still, I mean, you don't imagine how many people crave for them to try to come over here, but as their manager tries to tell everybody, it's all about visas, and it's really hard for them to, they don't want to come over here and lose money. I mean, I totally understand their take on that, but they have to be able to have a crew, not just a skeleton crew, because that ain't no fun having guys do too much work that's going to end up, hurting them overall, just because there's a lot of work involved here. But, just I like these conventions though. I just wish they would do one in the US where people can actually go see them. Like Montreal has had them now for pretty much ever since they started doing them, but I guess supposedly they're done doing Montreal now. They're not going to do it anymore.
Oh, wow.
So, everybody's keeping their fingers crossed that maybe they'll do something in a big city in the US. We'll see.
Exactly. It's been a while since I saw them live. So, Joseph, thank you for coming on. And before we go, why don't you talk a little bit about your channel, Rock Show Critique, on YouTube here?
Yeah, we've been a little quiet over, the beginning of the year, but recently we've started to get some work done. I'm kind of focusing more on best track off of each album because I've done so many artists, and I've had you on plenty times where we did a lot of album rankings and our
Yep.
ranking
Favorite
a
songs.
band's top 10 songs like this or whatever, top 12. I do top 10, you do top 12. We're similar. But I'm focusing in more on the albums now where I'm picking the favorite track on each album, and some of these are trying to pick a favorite track on Clutching at Straws or some of these other ones. It's a really tough business. So there's a lot of listening because we're trying to do a lot of I'm trying to focus in on catalogs that I haven't done before
The
because
big ones.
there's so many out there, and it's a little easier doing it best track off each album as opposed to trying to listen steadily to 20 to 30 albums in somebody's catalog. It's really a tough thing. So we got a couple things coming up shortly. We got our Crocus series winding down. We've got going to be doing a Todd Rundgren best track off each album. And obviously, he has a ton of albums out. So stay tuned for that and much, much more. We actually just did one with Alex Winter. Did top 10 tunes off, top song off of each AC/DC album, which was awesome. And towards the end of last year, one of my favorite shows that I had was I had Mike Lodano on from Grab a Stack of Rock, and we did Kiss. Wow, that was just a great episode. I really loved it. That episode kind of fueled my fire to start doing some more of those type shows. And I try to pick guests that know certain catalogs, so it makes it more interesting hearing from somebody who's like a really big fan of that band, because then you get two perspectives
Right.
that are totally different. You get one who somebody who really appreciates the band and lives and dies for the band, and then you get somebody who knows music, but they might not be as into that band as the other person is. So you get a lot of good variety, and that sparks up a lot of conversation, and that's what it's all about, you know. So that's what we've been up to. That's about it for us.
Nice. And just really fast, Alex Winter is one of my favorite new contrarians. That guy, the collection he has behind him is awesome, and his knowledge is vast and huge. And eventually, we've been talking, we're going to be on each other's channels. And Mike Lodano, of course, I've been on his channel 2 or 3 times already. We did a Marillion Christmas show on his channel with Todd Evans and Bicycle Legs from the Contrarians. So check that out for you Marillion fans. It's on Grab a Stack of Rock, and I'm wearing a Santa hat in that video. So, Joseph, thank you for joining me. Well, of course, we're going to have more collaborations. We just recently we did a Journey show, I think, on your channel. Top 10 Journey tunes was our last show on
Yeah,
Rock Show Critique.
that was another fun one.
Yep, and now you're back from Marillion. So, of course, we are going to collaborate more in the future. So, look for me on Rock Show Critique. Look for Joey Suto from Rock Show Critique on Cretan Classics in the year of 2026 when we're filming this. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have favorite Marillion songs, you could list your top 3, 5, 10, 12, 20, whatever below in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe both to Cretan Classics and Rock Show Critique. And remember, everyone, to rock out, prog on, and pogo. I'm Davey Cretan for Cretan Classics. Thank you, Joseph, for joining me. Take care, everyone, and we will see you soon. Peace out. We'll see you in the next video.